So I see a couple of people starting to join on the chat. Morning, everyone. So Sally, you're saying not sure I'm hearing any volume. Hopefully that's just you, not everyone. If there's a volume problem, please chuck that into the chat that we're aware of. If not, we'll crack on. But we'll give it another minute or two for people to join before we start. And when I say 12, I mean 12:30. On it. Get some messages so people can hear loud and clear. Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar series from Exeter Science Park. We've got a couple of organisations running it today. So we've got Tech Southwest, myself, and Digital Skills Partnership after Southwest Let. So I'll introduce Charlotte, my co-host. Do you want to say hello, Charlotte?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I manage the Digital Skills Partnership. There's a little bit of blurb about me there on the slide, and I'm going to be doing most of the talking today. So I'll end there and keep it brief.
Cool. And I'm Dan Pritchard, co-founder of Tech Southwest and managing director of Astley Media, PR marketing company. So kind of involved in the tech scene in various ways. And co-host Charlotte of this series. There's Exeter Science Park put on a fantastic kind of series Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Charlotte and I, between us, we're going to be curating every other Wednesday. So it's starting today and then fortnightly from now on, and open for ideas around the different topics and what have you. Also really pleased to welcome our guests to today's show. So we've got Paula Byers, founder and director of LimeCloud, Zero App Integrator, and key member of Tech Southwest, Digital Skills Partnership, Digital North Devon, Barnstable Chamber of Commerce, and probably many other things as well. So morning, Paula, thanks for joining us.
Morning, hi Dan, thanks.
Hello, and then Henry Smith, the Business Development Manager at Cosmic. So Henry's role is sort of helping people to understand their technology needs, supporting their digital strategies, and linking them to Cosmic's range of digital skills trainers, consultants, developers, and technicians, doing a lot across the private sector, the public sector. So morning to you, Henry. This is another way.
Good morning, all.
One of the reasons we do this is it's also a say hello. This is who we are, and also checking out the sound and other things as well. So that's all cool. So thanks for joining for today's session on this platform. There's we'll whiz through a bit of the housekeeping. I'm having a few technical issues with my visuals at the moment, but I think you can all still hear me still. So so it's being recorded so that we can make it available online afterwards. There's a chat function, there's a Q&A function, so put your questions to our guests. This is all around digital learning, so we'd love to hear your questions around that subject. We will kind of have the main discussion. Charlotte will lead through the presentation. We'll have the main discussion at the end. But yeah, do keep your questions coming in, whether it's quite specific or a broader strategic kind of question. We're going to launch a couple of polls and sort of during that presentation, so please kind of get involved in those as well. Slides go out to people afterwards through the email, that kind of thing. I think that's most of the key things. We're pretty used to sort of webinars and stuff by now, and if you've got useful thoughts, tips, resources, just chuck them in the chat. That'd be great. So I'll hand over to Charlotte while I sort out my visual technical bits and pieces, and hand over to you, Charlotte. Thanks.
So that, I think, leads in quite nicely. So the topic for today is lifelong learning in a digital age. What don't you know? And Dan and I can probably start with what didn't we know. So we're using Big Marker today, which is a webinar platform, and it's the first time Dan and I have used it. So, you know, we're kind of helping each other through this kind of some whizzy controls on our side. So that's something that we've had to learn new. And then the other thing is, we've put this slide together using Google Slides, which for me, as a Canva user, I've definitely had to leave my comfort blanket behind and learn how to use Google Slides. So you know, there's definitely stuff out there that I didn't know, and I think, you know, hopefully this all kind of leads on to kind of talking about, you know, maybe what's out there that you don't know, and that's, you know, I don't want to get off on the wrong foot and kind of offend you, but probably there's quite a lot that people don't know, and that some of you on this call don't know about digital skills. So it's kind of human nature to reside in our safe place, defaulting to what we know and convincing ourselves that we just haven't got time to learn something new. And in fact, last week, the 6th annual Lloyds Bank Consumer Digital Index came out, which pulls together behavioural insights from about 1 million people, and it directly spoke to 7,000 people to kind of get their views. And all to kind of as an entity, this creates what is the UK's largest measure of digital capability. And as I mentioned, it's the 6th year, so we've kind of got 6 years of trend data now to go in and look at. It's quite a big report. I think Dan's going to drop the link in the chat, and I'd urge you to go and have a look at it. But kind of just, if I just take out one fact from that report, it's that it found that 52% of people said that they lacked the digital skills that they needed to do their job. So that's quite scary, right? So on a personal level, that kind of leads to frustration, and it holds back an individual's job mobility. And then on an organisational level, this hampers efficiency and productivity. And it also kind of chimes back to a piece of work released last year. I'm being asked to do the poll. I'm going to have to do it later. It chimes back to a piece of work last year that Cisco put together, which is called the Productivity Index, which is another great report that I'd urge you to go and check out. So I think hopefully Dan can just drop that link for me in the chat. And what the Productivity Index report did was it pulled, it kind of, its methodology used 4 pillars to assess productivity, which were skills, jobs, infrastructure, and hardware. And then it used these pillars to create a framework that has compared places within the UK in terms of productivity levels, but also compared the UK to its international peers. And I was at the launch of this report, the V&A, and I was flabbergasted to kind of find out that it takes a UK worker 5 days to deliver what a French worker delivers in 3.5. So again, you know, although digital skills aren't the only driver for productivity, they are one key element of that productivity jigsaw. And they're also an element that's within our own control to remedy. Learning something new within digital is fairly fast to implement. You know, if we're kind of talking about, you know, if you think about your time spent in education, you can learn new kind of skills and platforms and pieces of software relatively quickly. And it's within our control to remedy part of this jigsaw. So I'd just kind of like to go back to that Lloyd's report, and I think Dan has put a couple of polls into the chat. It was quite, it was good to hear that 23% of people that were canvassed had some form of digital skills training or support from their employer. And we just kind of like to sense check that with those of you that are on the call today. So we've got a couple of questions that have gone out in the poll, one around yourself, and did you spend any time learning? And then the second one out there kind of aimed at employers to kind of try and gauge what percentage of the workforce did receive some form of digital skills training. And we'll come back to those results as part of the discussion that we're going to have a discussion break shortly. So if we move on, and just down the bottom, I just kind of put some kind of typical things that either we tell ourselves or we might hear reasons for why we kind of don't invest in our own time in terms of learning. Somebody else knows it. I could just Google it when I need to. So, you know, don't kind of default back to that comfy zone. What I'm kind of urging you to do today is push yourself outside of that. So where do you start if you're going to push yourself outside of that? Unfortunately, there is no kind of clear tool for an individual to kind of assess their own digital skills level. There are kind of some out there. So there is something called the Essential Skills Digital Readiness Tool, which looks at 5 core digital competencies that somebody needs in order to kind of access a basic digital world. I don't think that's kind of appropriate for the professional audience. I mean, it is out there, and if you kind of want to kind of Google it, but it's probably not right for this audience on the call today. So I'm going to say, just be honest with yourself, challenge yourself, think about putting yourself outside your comfort zone. Start maybe by thinking about tasks that take you a long time, and think about, okay, so what else is there? What is a different way of approaching this? And what would I need to learn in order to use that tool? Think about asking others what they use, and then don't resist collaborating when somebody says to you, well, I'd normally kind of use this piece of software or this tool to do that. It's quite easy for us to kind of go, this is the package that I use, and I'm not prepared to kind of step outside of that. So yeah, just kind of think about challenging yourself. As an organisation, there is quite a good tool for organisations to use to assess their digital readiness. It's called the DRL tool. It takes about an hour to kind of work through, but the good thing is you can return to update your progress as your organisation ticks off kind of new kind of chunks of learning and moves along their own digital maturity. So I think that's kind of a good one that I'd say to take a look at if you're an organisation. So once you've established that maybe you don't know everything, you kind of need to choose where you're going to start to kind of fill those knowledge gaps and work on your inner digital best version. Problem is, there's just a sea of online content out there, and it's what we're talking about is you investing time, possibly money, and so it's hard to kind of know that either where you're going to invest your time is got a good reputation, is not going to be a really annoying kind of platform to use. So what I'm going to hope to do over the next few slides is just kind of round up some of those sources that you could go to, and I've kind of picked some that I think have got kind of a sharp focus on industry needs. But the important thing to say is this isn't an exhaustive list. And as I said, there are masses out there. So I'm going to ask Dan if you could just drop into the chat. If you're not signed up to our Digital Skills Partnership newsletter, please do, because we do anything new that comes out, we do kind of include that in the newsletter that we send out kind of every 6 weeks. So for the purpose of time and also hoping to keep your attention, I've picked 9 sources that, in my opinion, either offer an excellent pathway into a digital career, or enable you to advance a digital career, or support employees' expansion of their digital knowledge. They all meet the criteria of the fact that they're free. They're covering a spectrum of knowledge capabilities, so they go from beginners right through to advanced, and there's a mix in there of accredited and non-accredited learning. So the first one is it's called Bounceback Digital. It's a regional offer, so by that I mean it's in Heart of the Southwest LEP, so that's it's open for people to get involved from in Devon, Somerset, Plymouth and Torbay. And I need to do a full disclosure here, because this is a programme that's been put together by the Digital Skills Partnership. And in our defence, it's topical, which is what I'm going to talk about now. And secondly, it's only been live for 48 hours. So you're some of the first to hear about it on this call today. So it's called Bounceback Digital, and when I say it's topical, it's been put together specifically to help businesses address skills needs that are being driven by the COVID-19 lockdown. So whether that is kind of the full lockdown that we're in, or the partial lift and the new normal and the ramifications around social distancing on what that's going to have on how we trade and how we deliver our services. So I think, Dan, are you able to drop the chat to the programme in the window, so if you want to kind of have a click off and have a look at it. So it's bringing together 5 digital expert organisations. So Cosmic, we've got Henry on the call with us, WSX, TechSpark, LimeCloud, and we've got Paula on the call with us, and Blue Screen IT. And in the next slide, I'm just going to kind of take you through the programme of what's on offer. So firstly, this is a terrible slide. This is me not kind of getting to grips with Google Slides that well. But what I'm trying to kind of illustrate through this slide is that Bounceback Digital has been designed to meet 5 key knowledge gaps cited by micro and small businesses at the moment. And those are around they need to trade online, and they hadn't got an online presence. So how do they set up an e-commerce website? They need to stop taking physical payments. So how do they move to cashless payments and digital bookkeeping systems? They now need to use, well, the world is their oyster when it comes to online productivity tools, but where do they start? Digital marketing. So this is all around not being able to kind of reach customers in physical modes that they were before. So how do they reach new customers online? And then the 5th one, really important and kind of wraps around all of that, is how do they make their business safe online and make sure their workforce is cyber secure. So those are the 5 topic areas, and then within those 5 topic areas, the format for Bounceback Digital is we're starting with an introductory webinar which will introduce the topic, but also then kind of do a very quick run through of all the courses that you can find within that topic area. So the example I've put up on the screen is the one for transacting online. There's an information webinar, and then 4 courses, short courses that sit under that around payment gateways, Xero, Free Agent, and QuickBooks. Just kind of some bullet points about Bounceback Digital. It's very timely activity, so all of it is happening in June and July. In terms of places, so webinars are restricted to the first 100 registrations. The courses themselves are deliberately being kept small, so they're online classes of 15 people. And this is because we want to enable maximum engagement, interactivity, and build a peer-to-peer learning support kind of vibe. In terms of the length of the courses, they range from, I think, some are 1 hour right through to a couple are at 9 hours, and then you've got everything in between. The objective of a webinar is to introduce you to a topic area and then help you decide which courses map to your knowledge gaps. And then the objective of each course is that by kind of acquiring that knowledge on the course, you walk away ready to immediately set up and start using that tool. In terms of eligibility, you just have to be based in the heart of the Southwest region and employ less than 250 people. I'm going to take a breather there, and we're going to move on to a discussion. So I can pass to Dan for a little bit.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you. Cool. So I think at this point, it'd be great to bring in Henry for a quick question and Paula for a quick question, because obviously your organisation is a part of that delivery. So should we start, Paula? It'd be really good if you could outline what LimeCloud are going to be delivering through the Bounceback program, and also what kind of impacts taking on these new skills can have for a business.
Sure. So we're really excited to be delivering in the first couple of strands of those being e-commerce and online transacting. The online transacting strand will cover cloud accounting with the likes of Xero, QBO, QuickBooks Online and Free Agent, along with looking at the cashless payments. And as Charlotte said, starting with an overview webinar and then into kind of deep dive courses where we'll get hands-on with the tech and making sure that we can help people understand how they can easily apply the tools to be more productive. The cashless payments option, course will explore options in this really fast changing world we've got at the moment as businesses start to open up in the new normal of the socially distanced world. And for us, it's about the immediate impact of how to trade safely online, how to trade safely in person and ensure you have the real-time information to make agile business decisions. But it's also about the long term. Everybody seems to be quoting ONS stats at the moment, so I thought I'd join the party and say that Xero's research shows that 88% of businesses using Xero are still trading at 5 years compared to the ONS figure of just 41%. So it's about that longevity longevity as well. And we're also presenting in the e-commerce strand on Rocket Spark, which is an entry-level, easy-to-use option for an e-commerce site with some surprisingly advanced features, actually. And as that integrates with Xero and MailChimp and a number of other platforms, we'll be getting people to think about how connecting their tools all together for maximum productivity works. And for us, it's about empowering how businesses use tech to do the heavy lifting for them so that they get more time to do what they love, and whether that's more time in the business, more time with family or surfing, whatever floats your boat. And I know people have been reassessing priorities a lot over this lockdown period. So
cool. Right, thanks. That's great, and that's a really good whiz through. There's clearly a lot in there, so definitely worth checking out. So Henry, I mean, I think the same to you really in terms of Cosmic. What's your part of this in terms of the Bounce Back program and this potential impact on the business? You know, why this matters.
Yeah. So Cosmic are also delivering on 2 strands of the program. The first one is the digital marketing strand, and we start that with a webinar on the 8th of June. Which is really focusing on the theme of digital marketing and how it can accelerate your business and sales. And following from that, we have a series of courses that people can book onto. So we're looking at concepts such as website design and SEO to make sure that your website is as visible and as functional as possible. We're looking at some of the platforms that you could use to, I suppose, pivot the way you sell your services. So new sites like Patreon and Bandcamp that not many people necessarily use traditionally can now use to actually seek income by selling their services in a completely different way. We've got courses on YouTube and Instagram, how to create good content so that you can engage your customer. If you're no longer able to sit down next to them in a meeting or a networking event, the point of these courses is about kind of replacing that with exciting content, using Facebook, using TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. So each course quite short, but enough to be able to kind of give you the information you need to reach a new audience. And I think the exciting thing as an opportunity at this moment for businesses is that I think this removes the issue of geography. People can reach a whole new part of the country or even world by adapting some of these new skills, certainly in digital marketing anyway. And then our second pillar is on productivity, which I think kind of synergizes really nicely with some of Paula's themes also. So we're looking again at a webinar that starts on the 25th of June, and then the courses run through July. So the webinar is looking at really the concept of productivity tools being a time-saving aspect to your day, allowing you to be more economically productive, but also for the lifestyle. And then we dive into workshops, looking at some of the tools that are available to you, like Trello or Planner, Typeform, and using things like your smartphone better to dive into some of those apps and applications that can change the way you deliver your work, smooth the process, and hopefully allow you to bounce back from any hardship in a more effective way.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think although it can feel overwhelming while there's so much, you know, this is why you have to take a strategic approach, isn't it? In terms of, you know, you've got to understand what's out there, you know, dive into these things, really get your heads around it so you can use the best tools for your, you know, for your organization and get the best learning. Right. So Charlotte, I'm going to hand back to you. We've got about 8 minutes left, so we want to get some more discussion in at the end. And if there's any questions from the audience, so do use the Q&A function to put those in, and we've got a couple lined up as well because we knew this was the first one of these, so some people decide to sit and listen, which is fine, which is cool. But I'll hand back to Charlotte to crack on, and then we'll just do a sort of final discussion at the end. So Charlotte, over to you.
Yeah, okay, so I'll speed up a little bit here. So I've got 3 slides, hopefully that'll fit in. And really it's a roundup of what's best from the rest, if we like. So it's just taking a look at some learning portals and resources from some national sources. So the first one, I've kind of pulled out 3 tech sites that I'd like to make you aware of. And again, Dan's going to drop these 3 links into the chat. So the first one is Institute of Coding, not to be confused with the Institute of Code. The Institute of Code will charge you $4,500, but you do get a boot camp for 10 days in Bali. But that isn't it. We're talking about the Institute of Code here. Institute of Coding, who are a kind of national consortium of educators and employers who have developed content. They've got over 196 online industry-inspired taster sessions, degrees and short courses. In terms of ability range, it goes from whether you're new to coding, so right at the beginning, right through to kind of whether you've been a developer for a few years. There are advanced courses there too. Just to give you kind of, I've picked out 3 examples of some courses on there. You could do a short course as an introduction to cryptography to understand about how we keep communication safe. You could do a short course around how to create accessible interfaces to make sure that your service is accessibility friendly and compliant, really important. And there's even a short course on how to design a feminist chatbot, which so because automation is on the rise, it's talking about how you can use some theories from feminism to deploy a chatbot that doesn't annoy your customers. So the second one is the future of tech. This is from CompTIA, and this is just kind of a great place to start if you want to explore some concepts. So they've kind of focused on 5 concepts of big data, cybersecurity, digital health, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. And this is a kind of a really interactive site. So you can kind of watch some videos, you can hear some experts in the field, you can do some reading and some kind of online quizzes. And really it's quite useful either to kind of find out if you're interested in that topic and you want to go on and do a course, or if you're starting to think about how this topic could affect your business. And then the third one we've put on there is, so again, it's CompTIA. And I just wanted to call out that, so CompTIA are kind of the industry recognized kind of default for IT technicians and engineers. And during this period, they're offering their CompTIA IT fundamentals program, which is the entry level for someone kind of going into an IT pathway for free. So it's a 30-day license worth $180. So next slide, how are we doing for time? Let's speed up. These are 2 repositories that I'd urge you to go and look at. So the first has been put together by DCMS, and it's a data analytics repository. It's been designed for businesses that kind of know they have data but don't know what to do with that data. As we kind of are quite a kind of an exemplar within our region for data with the Met Office and the UKHO, DCMS have kind of directly asked us to encourage our businesses to take a look, and there's an evaluation form. They're kind of keen to know what we think of this tool. And then the other one is Tech UK, and Tech UK have pulled together over 30 free courses which cover cybersecurity, everything from kind of entry level right through to those who are kind of already established in the industry. And all courses have been vetted either by Tech UK or DCMS, and they're free to access online for 90 days. Final slide. These are some broader platforms that I'd just like to draw your attention to, go much wider than digital. But first one, FutureLearn. On there you can find there's just over 90 courses that kind of fit within the IT and computer science realm, everything from 4-hour course to degree modules, so things around payment technologies, but also SQL, introduction to databases, etc. OpenLearn, again, so this is the home of free learning from the Open University. It's a bit easier, no, it's a bit harder to navigate to find the IT courses in with this one, but it does have loads of kind of free courses in there as well. UK Learns is a new offering from Pearson. And again, 1/4 of all the courses on there. So it's got 400 courses, and 1/4 of those courses fall into digital and technology arena and kind of range from 2 to 100 hours. And then the final one is from the government, which they launched the National Skills Toolkit, and which kind of, again, really broad range of, it's aimed at furloughed workers, really broad range of courses you can take on there, limited number of IT courses, but I thought I'd share how popular it's been. So the Python course, within the first 2 hours, 15,000 people signed up, 1,500 people signed up within the first 2 hours, and it had 5,000 sign-ups by the first week. That was a bit of a rattle through. How are we doing for time, Dan? Have we got time for a discussion?
Yeah, we have, yeah. And I've just warned people, we've got a thing called the buffer zone, which takes us to 1:05. So okay. If those of you got to go at 1, totally get that. But no, I think I think it's that whiz through is great, and we'll be sending the slides out because actually there's different resources there for people to go and explore. And it's not about doing everything, is it? It's about looking and understanding the organisation and then starting to look into some of these things and mapping that out. Just quickly reflecting on the poll, I'll just give you those results. Before then, I've got a question for Henry and for Paula around some of this as well. So in terms of how many days did you spend on your own digital learning in the last 12 months? So no one is 0%, so that's good. The majority focuses around 2 to 4 days to about a week. So this is not something that's alien and new to a lot of organisations already, or the people who are attracted to this seminar, I guess. You know, there are the digital natives, there's digital savvy, and then there's a lot of people who have that digital shove. But that's interesting. That's good. That's encouraging. And for the employers out there, what percentage of your workforce received some form of digital skills training in the last 12 months? And it's kind of split 100% and then 1 to 25%. So it's a bit more muted, I suppose, around that, which is interesting. And I suppose from that, so Henry, turning to you first in terms of, you know, you've been delivering some of this work already across the Southwest. What's that demand been like? Are we getting take-up around this?
Yeah.
Are there common threads emerging?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think the lockdown process with COVID-19 has accelerated the appetite for digital skills learning. It's been, I suppose, a kind of amazing reaction. We've been fortunate that we've been able to deliver our typically in classroom style learning quite quickly onto a virtual world, and it's translated quite quickly and quite easily, and they've been very popular. People have an appetite, and it's going really well. The themes really are initially about how you react to the issue. But I think we're now all coming out of that initial phase and into a new phase, which is how do you grow and succeed, not just react. So yeah, it's looking very positive, and the demand is high.
And of course, it's which of those good habits then become entrenched in the organisation? That's really key.
Exactly.
To old ways. So Paula, I guess there's so much out there. How, as a business, do you kind of prioritise some of this?
So as Zero App Integrators, we work across the UK delivering training and support, and we work in an ecosystem of around 900 apps, so there really is an app for that. But we're driven by our clients' needs, which aren't always what they think they are, funnily enough. But through working with them, we identify their pain points and try to solve them through tech. So I think it's why I love doing what I do, because every day is different, because every business is different. So, you know, we could be doing all sorts from one day to the next. But I think, like Henry's found, our discussions more recently have been, first of all, survival, and then turning to, you know, actually how do we change things up to, you know, to work in the new world, you know, as we come out of lockdown.
Cool. Thank you. There's a very practical question that's coming in terms of, will the Bounceback seminars workshops be recorded and available online, or is it just for the groups? Can't hear you, Charlotte.
Definitely the webinars are going to be recorded. The courses, we're just discussing that with the training providers, because we're kind of encouraging a bit of kind of stop-start, so the course can kind of react to the learners' kind of questions, and obviously kind of focused, as Paula said, all businesses are different. It might not be appropriate to kind of share all of the courses as a recording, plus they're going to be quite long, some of them. So I think we're going to kind of see how we go with some of those, and if it works, then we will, because obviously that is great for kind of playback and flexibility of time, people's time availability. So we're going to see how that goes.
Cool. Okay, and here's a question, maybe it's a top tip for Mitri to end on. So early on in lockdown, I signed up for 3 online courses. One around future business models, one around about creativity in business, and one on mountains. And and the mountains one, I'm really keeping up to speed with, and I'm loving it. These 2 Canadian guys, university, which one? The other 2, I have slacked off a bit, you know. And there is something about, you know, because it's digital learning, and some of these things, there's different formats, pre-recorded, live. How do you kind of condition yourself, or have the right kind of discipline to actually see it through? Because there's the watching it, there's the engaging, there's getting off and then practicing it. You know, how do you start with you? What's, you know, top tip?
So I think it's really easy to get a digital apathy. You work all day in this position, whether it's the room that you're in. So just think about whether you can change some things up. Go and put yourself in a different environment. Sometimes kind of put some music on, put some headphones in, put some music on, because that will kind of, you know, move you to a different place as well. Make it very different from the environment that you're working in. Also, probably don't criticize yourself if you don't kind of achieve. If I'm setting out to do 3 hours this week, if you don't do 3 hours, you've got to be in the right mood to be engaging with it. So just kind of think it's fine, I've not done my 3 hours. Next week I'm probably going to be in the right frame of mind.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Paula, with no prep, putting this question on to you as well then. Let's have a top tip.
Yeah, so I think my top tip would be to carve the time out in your diary, actually physically block it out. I think too often you sign up to something and then you kind of either it doesn't get into your diary, which for me is a disaster, because then I'll plan something else and find I've double booked myself. But also I think, especially some of our courses are several sessions because they're longer. So, make sure, we've tried to schedule them the same time every week or over several days, so that they're kind of recognizable slots, and it's about kind of getting into that routine as well of doing them once you start them, and it's an investment in your time. So I think that's important to recognize that you're doing it for you and for your business. So
thank you. And finally, Henry.
Well, I think the investment in your time is a really good point, because my tip would be to focus on the goal of why you're doing it, as a motivational tool. So if it's trying to learn a new skill, have that in your mind to motivate you to want to continue to push on. Learning anything new should be difficult. It shouldn't be easy, because otherwise you're not really learning. And so you should be motivated by the aspiration that you had in the first instance.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's really great. Thank you. And a very complimentary tips. And you think we'd rehearsed that before, but we hadn't. So that's really lovely. We also have a wonderful panel covering different parts.
I do just have one other really quick thing, Dan. Yeah, I was in a session with somebody else who said, automate the stuff you find boring so that you can spend more time on the stuff you love. And I think actually that's what all of this training is about. It's about using the tech, leveraging the tech to do that stuff for you, and kind of so that you can work on the things that you really enjoy.
Brilliant.
Perfect, Paula.
That's fantastic. So thank you, Paula. Thank you, Henry. So Charlotte and Dan will be back in a couple of weeks' time. The next topic, ready for change, your organizational culture in a post-lockdown world. So I think that's going to be another really interesting topic, and we're looking for ideas, contributions, panelists, as we pull that together the next few days. Back here at 12:30. I've got a feeling we'll be using that 5-minute buffer zone again next week. So thanks, Henry. Thanks, Paula. Charlotte, anything else from you? I think we're kind of...
No, just really appreciate everyone joining us. Thank you to Henry and Paula, your great contributions, and we survived.
Yeah, no, well done.
Yay.
Thanks, Extra Science Park, because this is under the umbrella of the kind of this big program they're kind of pushing out now, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So go to their website, check it out, and we'll send the slides, not in the post, but by email. Okay, cheers all. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.